Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to City Skylines 2 and welcome back to Columbia County. I hope you're having a good one. I'm excited to be back. There have been a couple of small changes since the last episode, so as we do around here, let's jump in and take a very quick look at what's new, and then let's talk about what we've got to do. So when I say small changes, I do really mean small changes. Obviously, in the last episode, we put together this little industrial space, and I do love how this turned out, and reading the comments, it seems like a lot of you guys did as well, which makes me very happy, given that I wasn't so sure about this, but I'm really pleased with the result that we have here. Now, one of the top comments on that episode mentioned that me not putting shoulders on the parking lot roads was going to be a problem because my Sims wouldn't be able to walk alongside these roads, which was completely true. So I've gone in and I've placed some shoulders, which is why there's a little bit of a gap right here before we have the surface that I put in here. But I also spent a little bit of time just creating a little dirt path back here that people can walk along to get from these parking lots down into the industrial space. Wasn't really necessary. I mean, I'm probably never going to look at it, but I'm having a lot of fun using the riverbed surfaces to create what looks like a little dirt or gravel path. It's something I'm really liking doing, especially, I mean, it wouldn't be possible without the invisible pedestrian paths. And then the second thing that I did, and the final thing that I did, was continue this road straight through here and add an extra little section of road that comes out to our regional road. On this corner, I figured I would do a little bit of detailing just because it's a bit of a messy intersection and I thought I'd have some fun with it, and I had about an hour to kill. This didn't take an hour, by the way, but I was just back and forth from my computer doing a couple of other things, running to the store, etc., etc. So I just figured I would do this. I actually did a similar thing with the invisible pedestrian paths and the dirt riverbed decals in here, so people can actually walk through this little park green space, whatever we're going to call it. But there is a reason that I built this road, and that's where I want to get started today. As it stands right now, we have one education facility in Blackwater, in the entirety of Columbia County, which is Blackwater. It is an elementary school. It is a small elementary school, which means we have a capacity of 400 elementary students in all of this. There are 10,700 people in Blackwater right now, and that's probably not a good ratio. We have about 2,500 people that are eligible for elementary school. We have about 550 eligible for high school, 350 for college, and about 300 for university, which we can see all here. And so what I'd like to do is get a new education facility into Blackwater, and I sort of want to use this space here to do that. Now, I did mention in the last episode I did want to fill up these spaces, and I do want to do that, especially given all of the demand that we have for residential zoning, for commercial zoning, and for industrial zoning. And I was thinking that I would just try to consolidate all of my new educational facilities into this little triangle that we have here. The problem with that is I also want to build some sports facilities. I think it would make a lot of sense to have something like an American football field or a soccer field, which is probably going to be more likely because it's a little bit smaller, and then also have two types of education buildings in one lot, which is actually something I have seen around the Willamette River in Oregon. I went to Google Maps, I looked into Independence, I looked into Jefferson, which isn't on the river, but it's a little bit to the, I want to say, east, if I remember right. And something that was kind of common was having something like a high school in like here, and then next to it having like a middle school or something like that. So I kind of like the idea of combining both a high school and elementary school into one facility. And I want to do this in a way that's not going to take me 3 hours to detail, because that's just, it's just unnecessary. I said right at the top of this series, it wasn't going to be all about detailing, and I'm having a lot of fun with the detailing, but I just want to build something that's going to be kind of useful and that's going to be practical and that's going to do what I need it to do. So we're going to start with this road right here. And immediately, I do want to place some parking facilities in here. I think that's going to be kind of important. So what we'll do is bring them 88 meters out here. We'll do I want them that close together? I think I do. I think we'll do 3, we'll do 4 of these for now. That might be too many, but we'll do 4 of these for now. And I'm going to connect them together at the ends and just see if that looks okay, which I think, honestly, it does. I don't mind that too much. I might extend this down. I don't really want to connect it here, but I think it would look better than having this little curvy part going on. So we'll connect it there for now and see how that goes. And we're going to bring this guy up to here as well, just to sort of straighten all of this out a little bit. And then what I want to do is go in here very simply, get myself a small high school, and I kind of just want to place it pretty much like here, I think is a pretty good spot. I could put it right down here, given that the front of the building is actually at an angle. It might look pretty good right on the corner, but I think maybe one back from that corner would be a better spot. I don't know. I also have ideas to potentially expand this thing, so I might need a little bit of extra space. I think for now we'll put it there just because it kind of fills this whole space in really nicely. And then I think expanding this with something like an extension wing is going to be a really good idea as well. Now, what I'm thinking I could do here is to start with, put the extension wing right there, right? I think that's a good place for it. But I would like to try, at the very least, to merge these together into a single building. So what I'm going to do is use my better bulldozer. I'm going to take this surface away, and I'm going to take out pretty much whatever I can take out here, which is going to be all of those props, all of those little rocks right there as well. All of these trees, benches, lights, if I can get them, which is a little tricky, but I got them, and the garbage cans as well. Now on this guy, I'm going to need to take out some props as well. I need these guys to go away, which is a little bit unfortunate because most of them are fine, but I'm going to take those out. And that gives me an opportunity to have a little bit of fun here. So if I move this extension, which I've just realized if I move it, I'm pretty sure all those surfaces come back, which is kind of a pain. Can I just grab the extension using move it? I don't think I can, which is really unfortunate. Okay. Well, this is what it's going to look like when I, when I get done with it. For now, I need to grab the extension and I do just need to move it. So we'll turn on, we've got anarchy on, we'll turn off snapping. And basically my thinking is that if I can just merge it into this other building, a little something like this. I don't know if that's actually in line or not. I've really got no idea, but this would be my thinking. Just have it be an actual extension of the school itself rather than a separate building. That just seems a little bit unnecessary. So I think that's about as good as I'm going to get. Oh, right about there is about as good as I'm going to get with lining it up. And I think that looks all right. I mean, it might look better if we didn't have this wall right here, but I think I can make that work. I think it would look worse if it was like in the pond. So I think that's okay. Now I need to go in and get rid of the surfaces again, or I can accidentally get rid of the surface that was underneath the main school building, which is slightly problematic. I'm pretty sure I can bring that back by just grabbing the entire thing and moving it. At least I'm hopeful that's what I can do. So we'll turn on snapping again and put you right there. And that's much better. That's, oh, you know, in doing that, actually, I'm not sure I love this surface, so I might swap it out anyway. But for now, we're going to just let this sort of be what it is. My hope is that I can maybe adjust this surface a little bit to reveal this grass. I'm not 100% sure that the game's going to let me do that. No, it isn't. Okay. And you know, accidentally deleting that surface might have been a good thing, because I think this one looks a little bit better. It's got a bit more detail going on. It kind of matches the warmth of the colors that we have going on. I like this a lot. So with this, why are these highlighted? What have I selected down there? Because I haven't selected those trees. I'm not 100% sure what's, there we go. Okay. So it was better bulldozer being weird. That's totally fine. Can I select these trees and put more of them in here? I absolutely can. Okay. It's going to be the small ones. Actually, I think it's going to be these ones. And what we'll do, so there's 5 of them right there. Let's do 1 and 2. We'll do 1 Actually, you know what? We'll probably do 6 of them across here. So we'll do 2 like this. We'll do something like this and maybe 7 just across there. I think that looks all right. Okay. These spaces at the front are going to need some slightly smaller trees and plants and things like that. I'll probably do some benches in here as well, but that sort of ties it all together, which I think is great. This space here, I'm thinking could maybe use a slightly older hickory tree just to kind of be a bit of variety since we have a bit of an open space and there's not too many windows in this wall. So I think that makes sense. Right down here, I'm kind of tempted to say similar, but I think this will probably just stay open. Something I'm trying to be really mindful of is number 1, not totally overdoing it in terms of trees. And number 2, sight lines. We don't need to block all the views into the high school. That's the last thing we want to do. Anyway, this is, I think, a pretty good little high school. I don't think we need to go too much further with, you know, expanding the building. I think this will be okay. That's a capacity of 500, which is great. When it comes to the elementary school, I'm kind of thinking I'm just going to put it down here on sort of this corner, which should be fine. I'm pretty sure I can get away with that. So we'll go in and we will enable zoning on this road right here and then disable zoning on this road right here. And then hopefully I can just place a little elementary school, say right there. I might move it a little bit closer, but I'm going to go with, we'll go with here for now. We can move it later on because I want to take a look at the expansions for this guy because we have the extension wing and we have the gymnasium. Now the gymnasium is honestly a pretty cool looking building that I might put somewhere standalone, but the extension wing is what I'm most interested in because this type of building is something I can maybe merge into the main elementary school itself. So I'm just going to place it, say, here for now. I don't really think it matters too much where it goes. And then I guess I'm just going to move it again and turn off all of the guidelines so I can just put it wherever I want. And what I'm thinking I want to do is try my best to get it to line up with this existing roof right here, right about here. I don't know if this is actually going to work. It isn't the same height, which is interesting, but that's actually not the worst thing in the world. It might make it look a little bit more interesting. So if I was to do, I guess this, we'll just sort of merge it into the existing building. So something like that, I think looks kind of cool. I don't like this little part, but we're probably never going to see it unless I flip it around and do it the other way, which might rightfully look better. Oh, actually, this is a lot better. I like this little archway that we have going on. Obviously, the roof doesn't line up perfectly, but this looks pretty solid. And I've already extended the surface through here. So this is what we're doing for the elementary school. And I can go one further with that surface, actually. And if we just put a couple of little nodes in here, so this one already exists, we'll go for about there, and we'll go for a node right about there. I can bring this surface out to the sidewalk, and then that's a way to also get into the elementary school, which I think is pretty cool. This grass surface can be extended around the corner so that we have this detail just flowing around here as well. So right up to about there, and we'll grab a node and go right up to about there. I like it a lot. We'll bring those bushes around as well. And over on this side, exactly, oh, hold on a minute. That is not what I'm looking for. Let's get you to line up like this, and we will create a new grass surface in here if the game is going to let me do that, which it really doesn't seem to want to let me do. There we go. So bring this over. It can go out to there. I can obviously line that up a little bit later on. I kind of really need this to behave though, which for whatever reason, it really doesn't want to let me do right now. There's what I'm looking for. You are going to come over to that corner and you are going to line up right about there. And I like it a lot. I do. I think that's pretty cool. We've got this space in here, which I'm hoping is going to fit something. I don't know what it's necessarily going to fit. Does it fit a soccer field? Oh, no way. Hold on a minute. I think with a bit of surface editing, we can totally fit a soccer field in there. That is perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Does this guy fit? Also a little bit of surface editing. I think we could fit an American football field, but I think it's a bit too big. So the soccer field is the one we're going to be going for, which is totally fine. I like this a lot. I just somehow need to figure out how I'm going to make this thing fit in here. That, I think, is going to be the real challenge. And I also probably need to bring a road over for it. So I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and let me extend this guy up a little bit. So you're going to go to there, and that should be fine. And then I need to figure out roughly where the soccer field's going to go, which I'm going to assume is about there. We'll turn on my zoning, and let's take a look. Does it fit if I turn on snapping? It more or less does. I would almost be inclined to bring it down by about a single tile so that it fits in there perfectly. So we're not using more space than we need to. So basically, this road now needs to go away, and we need to just bring it down about here. So now, if I get the soccer field, assuming everything's going to work nicely, it is exactly where I want it to be. And it is just a matter of changing out some surfaces, which is fantastic. Oh, that makes me so happy. That makes me so happy. Okay, let's tidy this thing up a little bit. That hedge can go away. We've got a grass surface around the edges of this thing. I think that's going to need to go away. I think this, this entire surface here is going to need to go as well, which I don't love, but I think unfortunately that's just what we're going to have to do. So that entire surface can go away. This grass surface can go as well. This surface I don't love. It's very, very bright, but I think I'll keep it for now just as like a reference. And then maybe, well, the real question is, do I want to bring the gray tiles from the elementary school around here, or do I want to bring the more sort of sandstone tiles from the high school around here? And I'm kind of inclined to say that the sandstone really might be the one that I go for here. I do think the sandstone looks a little bit better. So I don't usually talk over time lapses, which makes this a little bit weird, but about halfway through building what we're building here, I checked my audio recording for my voice and it had stopped. Now I have no idea, or had no idea, where it had stopped, and I figured the best thing I could do was just keep on keeping on, keep on recording, keep on building, because I was kind of in the zone, and I'm quite happy with the outcome of this elementary and high school facility that we're putting together here. Now, let me tell you something. This was so tedious. I don't know how much of it's really going to show up in the time lapse, but I redid these surfaces so many times. I realized a little bit too late that there's a built-in parking facility on the soccer field, so I had to move it, which meant moving surfaces. Then I had to go in and do little bits of detail with trees and paths and walls, but it was worth it. I'm so pleased with how this thing turns out. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. And it's kind of similar to the industrial zone that we built in the last episode, just in the sense that about halfway through this, I was looking at it and going, man, I am not so sure about this. I don't know that this is going to work. But in the end, it's turned out better than I could have expected, and I'm just really, really pleased with it. Now, another reason I'm just doing this little commentary on top of the time lapse is because I did see a comment on the last episode that mentioned, you know, a nice little mix of gameplay and time lapses is kind of cool, and that kind of keeps the nice balance between this being a creative series and just a playing Cities Skylines II series. This episode wasn't supposed to have a big time lapse in the middle of it. It's just here because I may or may not have, I probably hit a hotkey or something and stopped the audio recording, so that was my fault most likely, unless the software is acting up, which I really hope it isn't, because I got a lot of work to do, man, and I'm really enjoying Cities Skylines 2. So with that all said and done, we'll let this play out. We'll take a look at the build in real time after the fact, and we'll see what else we can get into here today. There it is. Get a load of that. I am so pleased with how this entire thing has turned out. As tedious as it wound up being to put all of this together, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. We have our high school facility here on this corner. We have our elementary school wrapping around this corner. We have a beautiful line of poplar trees around the outside, which does ever so slightly fly in the face of what I talked about in terms of not blocking the sight lines out the windows. But I figured this is probably going to be a bit of a heavily trafficked area, given that I've put some commercial zoning across the street. So a little bit more privacy in the schools is probably not a bad idea. And especially given that this is a big regional road out here as well, I just figured, you know, a little something. There's still plenty of daylight it's going to get in here. We still have plenty of room between the trees and the windows. Everything should be totally fine there. I also decided to use some key walls to just generate some fences around the parking spaces, so I didn't have to do it myself. And overall, I am so pleased with this. Now, it needs a name. It is currently Daffodil Elementary and High School. Daffodil was the auto-generated name that the game gave it, and Elementary and High School is, of course, my little addition right there, because that's what it is. It's an elementary school and it's a high school, and I'm so pleased with this. The only concern that I have is I don't know how I'm going to fill all of this space. I hadn't really thought about that. Well, I tell a lie. I have sort of thought about it, and I think that's something I kind of want to tackle because I'd like to fill in this space. This is probably going to be a park, but the rest of this could probably use some zoning. So what I'm going to do is take out this little fence. I know that I built it, but I'm going to take it out. And I'm going to go to the surfaces that I extended down here as well, because what I'm thinking we should probably do is bring these right back to normal, because I might have an opportunity here to bring this road sort of out and around and connect it down there and then build some zoning in here, especially given that we do have so much residential demand. I think it kind of makes sense that we try at the very least to do something about that. So what I'm thinking we can do here is bring this out to about here, bring this out to about here, and bring this straight down through there. And that gives us a little bit of space to build on. It also keeps a little bit of separation with the road and the parking lots, so I can do some trees in here and some detailing because it's me. Of course, I was going to do some trees and some detailing in there. It's just what I do at this point. In fact, very quickly, let's just put the surface around here that's going to be for all of the grass surrounding those parking lots, since that's going to be a thing that we're going to be needing. So it's going to live right there, and I will do trees on that in a little bit. Now, for the rest of this, I think what we can do is turn off some zoning down here so we get some good zoning in this space. And then for this guy, I'm kind of wondering if it would be worth going ahead and bringing a road straight through here and straight up to there, because it would give me a whole bunch of zoning to play with. Admittedly, I don't know if it makes sense. It doesn't necessarily follow the hierarchy of this whole place. It's a regular road connecting to an alleyway. Realistically, I think this should probably push straight through and connect to that intersection, which, I mean, that's doable. Please tell me it hasn't crashed. Oh, it hasn't. Okay. Oh man, I haven't saved yet. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know when the last autosave was, and I'm kind of too scared to look. I think I just aged about 20 years. Oh, I'm playing with fire. That's what I'm doing. I am playing with fire. I'll tell you what, take these guys out and we'll pause for a second while we do it. Can I just run a little road straight through here? Is that an option? It is. Now, it doesn't all connect perfectly, but I think I'm okay with that. And I think I don't want to take these guys out. That's kind of my problem. I really don't want to take these guys out because I kind of like the look of that. In fact, I really like the look with the row houses being separated there. So that might just be what we do. Now, my question is, if I turn zoning on here, we do have a bit of a weird gap, but for the most part, I think we can work with that. And then I guess what we'll also do is maybe just turn off some of the crossings here to try and tidy that up a little bit. And I think I can make this work. I think this will be okay. At least I hope I can make this work, and I hope this will be okay. We'll turn off zoning on a good chunk of this. I think I want zoning off there as well. I think a little bit of green space in there could be kind of fun, just because. And I'm going to turn it off here for a second because I think I want to start with this road. I think that's going to be our starting point. I think this is going to be our starting point as well. And you know, I kind of feel like it makes sense to just do some mixed use zoning in here, since it's going to be a little bit, I guess, higher density than the row houses. So we'll give that a shot. I think this is what we'll go for here. We'll go for a slightly larger building here. We'll go for something a little bit wider, perhaps, right? Or not, I guess, right there. And we'll do this guy. We'll just, you know, let those guys build up like that. And I think that'll be okay. On this side, let's go for, do I want to do that or do I want to go for something bigger? I think I want to go slightly bigger. So we'll let that exist. I don't know how big that building is actually going to be, so it might be a little bit much, but we'll give it a shot. That's totally fine. And we'll let those guys kind of exist as well. So that's going to be our set of buildings. It might be a little bit too dense. It might be something I want to swap out for, it really might be something I want to swap out for row houses actually, because right now my density is focused around avenues and this is kind of going against that as well. So we'll get a look at these buildings, but I'm thinking we might be wanting to change these out for row houses. Oh yeah, looking at these are way too big. This is way too much. We're just going to completely do away with that idea. And we'll just go through here, dezone all of this, and we're going to keep it simple is what we're going to do. We're just going to stick with some row houses. We'll do something like this. We'll give these ones a slightly bigger yard. Down this way, we'll do I want to build them right up to the alleyway? I think I do. I think that'll be totally fine. I think we'll give these guys a full-size yard as well. And honestly, these guys too. They can have a pretty decently sized space. You guys are going to be built right up to there. And I've already got some coming in over on this side as well. So that's, I think, a bit of a better plan. I think that'll work out better in terms of the aesthetics of the area. And that's really all I care about. I'm not going to lie. That's really all I'm concerned about. Now, when it comes to the rest of this space, I don't think it would be a terrible idea to look at getting some little pedestrian connections into the high school and elementary schools. So what I think we'll do is we'll get ourselves the pavement path, and I just want to line it straight across like this. So it's going to go across the backs of these buildings, and it's going to go to about there. And then I want to just run it into here is kind of what I'm looking for. So straight into there. We'll deal with the bit of wall that's kind of in the way there in a second. On this side, I want to pretty much do exactly the same thing. So this is going to run the entire way across to there. And if we get it to snap, it's going to run straight through to there, which is totally fine. Over here, I would kind of like to do the same thing. So can I get this to connect in a way that looks okay? That looks all right. And it's just going to run straight through to there. And that'll, again, be totally fine. Do I want to snap to this corner? Because if I snap to this corner, I could come straight through to here, which I don't necessarily dislike. I'm probably overdoing it a little bit in terms of paths, but I think that's all right. And then this one could, you know what? This one's fine. I think that's going to be the plan. And then I'm going to have to landscape all of this as per usual, but we'll figure that out in just a second. For now, I need to get my fence net lane. I need it to snap to the existing net lane, which is right about there. And then we want to go in and we want to just take out the parts that we're not going to be using. So over this way, that's going to mean going in and grabbing, say, here and here, then taking out that middle part and the extra parts. Down here is exactly the same story, right about there and there. We take out the middle and the extras. And there's one more just over this way where we have to do exactly that same thing, middle and extras, and that gives us a bunch of connections from this new space. That's a lot of taxis. That is a lot of taxis. Oh my god. I don't know what's going on there, but wow. Okay. Was not expecting that. I guess that's people moving into the city. That's fine. It's just, it was a lot more than I was expecting. Good Lord. Okay. All right. So something I want to be mindful of in here is not just filling up what is supposed to be a relatively dense part of the city with a whole bunch of green space. Now, green space and parks and nature, I love all of it. I really do. Absolutely, absolutely adore it. But I don't think it's going to be all that useful. I think I run the risk of overdoing it. So if I'm going to do anything, with parks and with all that detailing, I think it's a good idea to go in here with something like this, with an actual little playground that has some function to it. I think that's probably not a bad idea. And then maybe we kind of do the same thing here with this little city park right on that corner. It doesn't necessarily flow together, but I'm sort of okay with that. Just a little something that, yes, it's just nature and green and whatever, but at the very least, it serves a mechanical purpose. And that's kind of what I'm looking for with this. We'll also just put some trees on this thing to make it look a little bit more custom. And I'm okay with that. I think that looks all right. We're also losing a decent amount of money right now. My expenses are, well, quite a bit. Garbage, for example, 289,000 right there. That's a lot. We are spending more on garbage than we are spending on anything else, actually. So let me bring that down a little bit, because now that I think about it, we're probably spending way too much on garbage. We'll bring that down to like 70%, so I'm still making some money. We'll see if the city continues to be all right with its garbage coverage at 70%. And then for the rest of this space, I'd really like to get some density in there. It's still it's still running the risk of me just turning this into a forest, and I think that would be a little bit silly. So you know when I said I wasn't just going to turn this into a forest? Well, I don't want to say I lied, because it wasn't something I did deliberately or consciously, but I like how this looks, and I know I keep saying that, but I think the extra little bit of detail with the little bushes around here and the fences and the walls and all that stuff, I think it just brings it together and it makes it feel a little bit more like a park space rather than just being essentially a bit of a forest. So I'm kind of okay with it, is what I'm getting at. I'm gonna have to be okay with it, because I'm not gonna go in here and undo it. In fact, I kind of, oh wow, we are losing so much money right now. I'm gonna pause for a second and then look into that. I really should probably look into that now. It feels like that's probably a priority, but I just want to go in here and give this a little bit of manicured grass, because I think it's gonna look, yeah, a little bit better. There are some pockets in here that don't have the manicured grass, and honestly, I'm sort of okay with those just continuing to exist. In fact, I'm inclined to say that maybe we just add an extra little tree or two to kind of just hide our crimes and hide the fact that there isn't manicured grass in there. So, with this all in place, why are we losing so much money? What is going on here? Taxes are dropping, I think. In fact, revenue in general, I think, is dropping. I don't know if it's service trade or what it is necessarily. I did increase the taxes to 13% again, so I'm gonna bring those back down to like 11, which seems really counterintuitive, but I'm gonna bring the taxes back down, because I think that's probably what's going on, is people are once again not necessarily thrilled about the state of things with regards to the taxes. And I did see some comments talking about the fact that that is a known thing in Economy 2.0, where if you massively increase the taxes, you are going to have people in a bit of a rough way, and it's going to mean less money overall. So that's kind of what I'm assuming is maybe going on there. So we'll see what happens. We're back to negative 8,000 per hour, which is fine. But I'm kind of going to ignore that because I want to fill this little space in, and I feel like it should probably just have some zoning. I think this should be relatively simple. It's not going to be the most inspired layout that we've got, but I think that's okay. I think it kind of has to be. I think it just needs to be. Do I want to do row houses? Do I want to do some higher rise buildings? We don't really have demand for much other than residential and industry, so I think row houses are probably where it's going to be at. So let's take a bit of a look and see what we can do. Now, I think I'll use this as sort of a baseline just to get the grid. We'll bring you through here. Take that out and take that out. And then just extend this road up to about there. And I think that's okay. I think I can make that work. It's not going to be much in terms of row houses, but it's going to be a little something something, and I'm kind of okay with a little something something. I might, however, just shift it over because these guys are what? 5 tiles or 5 units deep, which is probably fair enough. I think this could probably do with being moved over just ever so slightly. So let me get this to line up about, I want to say there. We'll bring this down to about there. And these guys are going to be a little bit smaller, but that's totally okay. So we'll do 4U on these guys. We'll do, I don't know what to do on these ones. Let's do 5 there. And then maybe 4 there. So this one has a slightly smaller yard, and we'll take out the smaller ones here as well because I don't necessarily want them. And then I guess I need to figure out this this whole road down here as well. So what we'll do is just swap this out for a regular 2-lane road. I think I'm going to get rid of the sidewalks because I don't think that's going to be a good idea. And then we still have the asymmetrical road here, which seems fair enough. Now I will say, I don't really love this just being a dead end, but I think it's going to have to be because I don't really want to push it through into anywhere else. So it's kind of just going to be what it is, which is just a dead end. But we can still connect it for pedestrians. So we can bring this little path through here, which is going to let people walk from here to the good old, what's the word I'm looking for? Educational space. Education. Kept thinking residential. That's not the word I'm looking for. And then on this side, I might do, let's see, let's do this and let's do this. Let me turn off all of my lengths so I can get this to be exactly where I want it to be, which is about there. And then my thinking is these guys could probably have a little curve just coming around like this. Let me try and get them to line up perfectly, which is right about there. I think that looks all right. And then there is a temptation to just push this straight through into the educational district. So maybe that's what we do. If we turn off all of our snapping options, we could go from here sort of straight through like that. And I think that'll be okay. I think we can make that work. So we'll get ourselves the good old net lanes again. We'll put a cut about there. That's not what I'm looking to do at all. Let me just get rid of, well, that guy completely. In fact, that is, oh God, how do I get rid of that? How? Oh no. Oh no. What have I done? Once again, there we go. I did again, throw a bunch of trees in here, but I've also decided to throw a little bit of a park on this corner because I thought that would be good given there's a bunch of people living in here. We've also got the smaller park and the little city park over here, and that just leaves this space, which, I mean, man, do I really need to tell you what I'm going to do with this? Because, I mean, really, you're going to be shocked to learn that the answer was more trees, because it was, and I think it looks all right. Again, I'm sort of not really sure what to fill a lot of these spaces with. And I know this place is kind of overgrown a little bit in a few different spots, but I kind of like it. I've always said, you know, over all the years that I've played Cities Skylines and now Cities Skylines II, I've always said that one of my favorite things is the contrast and the juxtaposition between, you know, all these concrete and brick structures and then nature. I love that as an aesthetic choice. I love that as a thing. I love sort of, if there's a post-apocalyptic like game or movie, my favorite way of doing that is like, you know, take a city, take an absolute metropolis of a city and just cover it in trees, buildings crawling with leaves and ivy and plants and stuff like. I just love that so much. It is one of my favorite aesthetics. Obviously, that's not quite what we're doing here, but I do also kind of just like the vibe that we have going on, you know? If you're going to live in a space that's going to be a little bit more built up like this, I mean, this isn't the most dense of neighborhoods necessarily, but if you are going to live somewhere like this, a bunch of row houses with a bunch of people on either side and stuff like that, then I think, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world if you just go down to the end of the street, look around, and it's just nature and trees everywhere. Probably a nightmare for people with allergies, but I personally really like it. I've also seen a couple of suggestions to bring some little paths in and around the area around the welfare office. That is something I've got noted down. I didn't get to it today, but I think for the most part, we've managed to just totally develop this space. And I am really, really pleased with it. I'm so happy with how the educational space turned out. I'm so happy with this little redevelopment. I think it looks so good. I'm really, really pleased with that. And I mean, we're also making money again, which is great. So we're not doing too bad. The population is approaching 12,000 people, which is all right. And if we have a look at education across the board, I mean, we've more or less filled the high school, which is problematic. We filled both of them, and now we need to start looking towards colleges and universities, but I don't know that I'm there yet. I don't think we have the money to do that just yet. So I think I'm going to hold off on that particular thing. But what I would like to do, and something I'm kind of curious about, is just before we wrap things up, I want to try a little something. I want to start here, and I want to come out sort of this way. I want to go out to this little regional road, and I want to see, can I just connect to, yeah, there's so many little regional connections around here. We've got, what is that? Sugarland Run. We've got Holloway. We've got Payne Gap. We've got Piketon. We've got so many places we can go to. Let's take a little bus out there and let's just bring it right back in here and see how this goes. Let's see if we can have like a little regional connection right there. So we'll set that up. I want to do another one that goes from here, and I want it to go out to the little regional road again. And then I want to go out this way to any of these guys. We'll go to this one, North Bay, and we're going to come back along the same little regional road. We're going to go in right about, let's say, I don't know, down here is probably the right spot for it. So into about there, and we'll complete the route. And we're going to do one more that's going to go from there. Basically, if it's going to let me just start a new line, which it doesn't seem to want to let me do right now. Can I start a new line? Is that working? That, I actually don't know if it is. I don't think it is. Is that a new, no. Can I create a new route starting there? It actually doesn't want to let me do it. Huh. Interesting. I'd like to. I'd love to create a new route, but, oh no, I just delete, oh, hold on a minute. Let me put that back in there. So you go, oh no, there. Am I now making a new line? You know what? 2 lines is fine. two lines will do the job. And then what I'd like to do is change these guys to be, I want to say sort of a yellowy color is probably a good shout. We'll make those a little bit brighter. And we're going to change this to regional line 1. And then this is going to be regional line 2. And I want to make sure, because there's a lot of buses in those lines, I would like to bring that right down to 4 vehicles and the regular bus. And I want to make sure the other one's set up exactly the same way. So regional line 1 is the one I just did. So it's regional line 2 that I need to take a look at. It's going to be down to 4 vehicles as well, and it's using the regular bus. So that should be fine. That should free up some buses to get onto the other routes. I've got no idea if anyone's actually going to want to use those lines, but I figure we might as well start looking into the idea of getting some little regional connections. Now, in saying that, this bus depot has all of its vehicles in use right now, which is slightly problematic. So we might need to look into getting the extended garage on here at some point just to get how many more vehicles? 10 more buses. Yeah, we might want to look into that one because we do have this complaint going on here with not enough vehicles. But you know what? I think for today we've made, oh no. How? You you literally you just left the depot. How have you managed to do this? I don't even know. You know what? It's fine. It's totally fine. That's yeah, that's a thing that they've managed to do. That's great. Good for them. Anyway, I think that's going to do us for today. I'm really pleased with this bit of progress. I was doubtful midway through building that elementary school, but I think it's turned out pretty good. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.